Good morning and welcome to Coffee and Chats. My name is Lindsay Giese and I'm the Executive Director for River Arts Inc. And today our special guest is Teresa Bear from Retwist Tea. Hi, Teresa.
Hi.
And I should say our Coffee and Chat program is brought to you by John Joseph Coffee.
Yes, it's wonderful.
So good. So, well, hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I am excellent. Thank you. How are you?
I'm pretty good. You're all smiles, which I love. Tawana German, the executive director at the Sauk Prairie Chamber, always comments on you and your sister's smile and praise. It makes everybody smile. So,
thank you.
Well, usually I like to just dive in and get to know our guests a little bit. So, if you wouldn't mind, could you please share a little bit about your background and who you are?
Sure. So, yes, Teresa and I grew up here in Sauk, for the most part. Went to school here. I graduated high school here. My family did move away for a short time. We lived in Ohio for a bit, and then came back. I do have one son, Austin, who also graduated here. Spent a lot of time traveling with him with the marching band and the show choir. I work at Sauk Prairie Healthcare as a physical therapist assistant now. That's my grown-up job. I've had many others, but that's kind of where I landed. And then I own Retwist Tea here in town. So
wonderful. Yeah. We chatted a little bit before this, and I hope this is something that we can share, but it just tickled me so much when you were talking about the therapists at Sauk Prairie Healthcare and that there are dirty and clean therapists right now.
Yes.
Explain what that is.
Absolutely. So we've had to change everything, the way that we do everything, and everyone has. So we have a medical side, medical patients, and then we have our elective surgery side, and they're two separate hallways. And so to do therapy with our patients, we've had to designate a dirty therapist who works with the medical patients and a clean therapist who works with the surgicals. I am the designated clean therapist. I work with the surgical patients up there. So, yeah.
I love it. And very creative.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Tell me a little more about Retwist Tea. Or have you been there a year now?
It will be a year Labor Day weekend. Yay!
What a first year.
Yes, what a first year. Yes.
How long had you had the dream of opening up the store?
So we were gypsies for about 5 years. So we would travel around and do shows. Really kind of in our area. We would travel about 2 hours for our shows. We did that for 5 years. And really, since we started doing shows, it was always like, oh, it'd be so cute and fun to have a little store. And, and we would just kind of talk about it. But it really wasn't anything that we felt like was a reality. It was more just a dream and, this would be so cute if it could happen. And the store came available during our 5th year, and we were concerned about still doing our shows. And we came to look at the building more like, oh, we're just curious. It'd be fun to see it and dream. And my family all came with me, and we stepped outside on the sidewalk and we're like, yeah, let's do this. Let's give it a shot. And so in true form of me, what I always do is that I have an idea and I jump. I don't have a parachute or a plan. I just jump, and then I learn to fly while I'm in the air. And we did that with the store. And we opened, we signed, and we opened. It was 2 weeks from when we signed to when we opened our doors. And didn't know how we were going to fill it. We were used to filling a 10 by 10 tent space. And so we moved in, we opened Labor Day weekend with cow chip happening, and we've been here ever since. So the word traveled. The chamber has been amazing with getting the word out there about us. And it has been quite a year, but really truly a blast. The people that we've met, and just, it's, yeah, I love it. I love it. And I have learned to fly while in the air. So
You say, well, I know that we've all had to modify how we do business lately.
yes.
Is there anything that you've changed, I guess, that has been really successful that you're going to continue?
Yes. So we had always, and even when we were doing shows, we had talked about having an online presence, a stronger online presence, an online storefront. And it was just something that, oh yeah, we need to do that. And then we didn't. So this whole thing really forced us into getting that set up when we had to close our doors. And so my sister is the store manager, and our tech department is just my sister. And so she worked very diligently in getting us a storefront set up, and making it very robust, especially during the time that we were closed. And that is definitely something that we'll maintain. Our Facebook site, we've really worked on the way that we present ourselves there, the things that we put out, to interact with people more, and trying to kind of give them the same feel that we want them to have when they come in, that, you know, you're home, it's comfortable, we want to get to know people, let them kind of get to know us, and just like a friendship, more than just, you know, clients. We want them to be our friends, and know who we are, and get to know each other. So we've worked very hard on getting those two things set up, and definitely want to maintain that as we move forward.
Great. Well, normally this would be the part of the interview where I ask silly random questions, but I felt like, and that's fun, and maybe I'll still do that at the end, I don't know. But I felt like there are very important things going on in the world right now, and I think we should hit some deeper points here in this coffee chat. So I'm glad you're on board with that.
Yes.
Now I'm even like hesitating to bring it up and talk about it, because I want to talk about the Black Lives Matter movement and race. And I think these are uncomfortable things for people to talk about. I guess I shouldn't generalize the experience that I've had in my life, being a white woman growing up in a small rural town with little diversity.
Right.
We don't have we don't have as many opportunities. And I think it's important in the arts in general to share experiences and tell stories.
So much.
So, yes. So I would love if you could tell a little bit about your story and your experience.
Yeah, sure. So yes, so way back, I was actually born in Iowa. My parents, my mom is from Ohio, my dad is from Iowa, so they met, got married, moved to Iowa. My sister and I were born in Iowa, and we moved here when I was very young. We lived in Merrimack for a number of years, and then kind of discovered Sauk Prairie. So we came out here when I was, you know, more school age. So this is kind of the part that I remember. Went through school here, Black Hawk, Tower Rock, middle school.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. So cute. So this was kind of my primary, you know, adolescence, was Sauk Prairie. And for the most part, it was fantastic. Of what I remember, the things that really resonate as a child, what a child carries and recalls, which is fantastic. You know, I had a few incidences growing up that stuck with me. I was definitely a child with a very, very low self-esteem. And I struggled with that. I remember really it kind of hitting me in middle school, where I think for most kids in middle school, you kind of struggle with that. And it definitely stuck with me all the way through. It was really, a lot of it was because I felt like I was so different. I didn't look like anyone else here. obviously, except for my family. And so I didn't know why. I didn't understand why I was so different. And so I struggled making friends and spent a lot of time with my family growing up. And really, for the most part, the interactions that I had with the other kids or my teachers, I think were more driven by just the unknowing. I think that as a community, we definitely have a lack of knowledge, of understanding, education, because it is an uncomfortable conversation. And the way that a lot of people deal with uncomfortable conversations is just don't bring them up, which works, but it doesn't solve anything. So I think that really growing up was very tough. We did move to Ohio, and we lived in inner city Toledo, Ohio. Vastly different from Sauk Prairie. Definitely went through some culture shock moving there. But I feel like the experience that I had being there and being surrounded by other people like me helped me to grow and mature inside more than I would have ever gotten just living here. Because I learned that there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with being different, that I should be very proud of that. I should be proud of who I am. Don't look down, hold your head high, be proud of letting people know who you are. And so when my family moved back here, my junior year of high school, I really brought that with me. I struggled a lot coming back because, you know, there's still that feeling of being different, but wanting to be proud of who I am. So now as an adult, I really try to take any opportunity that I can to try to help educate people. And I feel like I'm in kind of just a very unique situation where I've been here forever. Everybody knows us, everybody knows our family. And so we just kind of blend in with the community, which is good. I think that it helps a lot with being able to talk to people and have people be very comfortable having conversations with me. I feel like the downside of that is that people have been able to just kind of forget or put aside that I am different. And I don't want people to see me as not a Black or a brown woman. I want them to see that in me because that is what I am, but still be very comfortable talking to me. And so I take advantage of the fact that I do know everyone, and working at the hospital, the majority of the community has probably worked with me. And so I do have that as an advantage. So I hope that people will feel comfortable in coming to me with their questions and their concerns. And I am very open and more than happy to talk to anyone about anything. Yeah.
And I didn't want to interrupt you, but when you said that you blend in, I would say that your family stands out, but not because of the color of your skin, because you're awesome people. So
thank you.
You're welcome. Now we chatted before, so I know that, and you kind of touched on this, that there were some moments growing up that stick out as being difficult. And I know the story about your Cabbage Patch doll. And
yes.
If you feel comfortable sharing that, I think it's a powerful story to share.
Yes, absolutely. So we moved into town. We lived just outside of town, and I was going to Tower Rock. My family moved into town at about the middle of the year of my third grade year. I didn't know anyone. And so it was already kind of tough, kind of rocky. So my third grade year, we had show and tell day where, you know, bring things in. And so I brought in my Cabbage Patch that my grandma had made for me because I was very proud of her. She was brown. She was like me. I brought her in for show and tell. And at the end of the day, we're packing up our lockers and everything, and she was laying on the floor next to me in the hallway, and my teacher came out and picked her up, and in front of everyone said, "Whose ugly doll is this?" And I even in third grade, I knew, everyone knew whose doll that was. I just displayed her at show and tell, and she was brown. Of course, she's my doll, but it was devastating. It broke my heart, and I didn't say that she was mine. I didn't claim her. I had my mom take me back to school after everybody was gone at the end of the day to get her, because I was so embarrassed the way that it was said, and that she called her ugly. And so I felt like, well, if she's ugly, then so am I, because she looks like me. And that really, really stuck with me moving forward. And it even still, it's still very tough for me to talk about, because it's something that a child's mind, for a child's mind to realize what's being said, I think is devastating.
That
To
was your prized possession. You brought that
Yes, she
into show and
was.
tell.
Yes,
And
she was.
how powerful were, like, just those few words that the teacher said, like how powerful that was.
Yeah.
And
Yes. And because up until that time, I knew that I was different, but I was in third grade. So you're young enough that you're not really thinking about that. And growing up in the country, you have the same little group of friends. Your classes are so small out at Tower Rock. And so I felt comfortable coming here to town, moving to town. Going to Grand Ave is like, oh my gosh, this is like inner city stuff, And so I was already very nervous. I don't know anyone. But that was kind of the extent of it, just the new kid kind of nerves. But when that was said, it was very devastating.
that teacher was in the position that that's the part that just kills me. So when the teacher
Yeah.
said that, not only was it bringing you down, but now all the other students who at that age maybe weren't thinking about race at all,
Right.
and that
Yes.
people are different, like that's taught, and that
Yes.
teacher taught the wrong lesson that day.
Yes. And everybody looked and giggled. So I knew everyone heard it. And that's exactly it. As much as a third grade mind can understand that, that's exactly what I understood. And it just kind of sealed the deal. And not, I don't want to say that everyone moving forward took that phrase and looked at me any differently, but I saw myself differently. And so it definitely made me struggle with interacting with other people because I saw myself as ugly. She taught those students that, and she taught me that. So it was very tough.
Well, thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah.
I mean, it breaks my heart. So I can't imagine when you're reliving it, how hard that is.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to hear those stories, to be reminded of the fact that our words, especially to young people,
yes,
to all ages, it makes such a huge difference. So to
yes,
be mindful of, in talking to anybody, any race, anything that's negative about a child, like, I think our words are very important.
yes, our words are very important. And any adult who is in any type of position of power, a teacher is in a position of power, and anyone in that position has to be so mindful of the way that they use that power and that position around everyone. I can't even express how important that is. It's just, I have a card at my desk at work, and it says, and I have it set up so that I can see it every time I'm sitting at my computer, and every day I read it multiple times. It says that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And I try to live my life by that with everyone that I interact with, my patients and otherwise, because my Angelo, by the way, yay. I feel that that is so very true. It sums it all up right there. I think it's an amazing, amazing quote.
Me too.
So, yeah.
You mentioned your son, Austin, earlier.
Yeah.
Who I know because we were in the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee together many
Yeah.
years ago. So we got great Peter Guilds, and he's so talented and wonderful.
Aw.
Must be very proud.
A little bit.
How, you know, how different was his experience growing up in Sauk Prairie? Do you talk about it with him, or did you observe differences? Can you share that a little?
Yeah. So I think that Sauk Prairie, we're trying as a community. Definitely credit due there. I think that some differences came, just simply as a boy. I think that makes a difference, but he did have an interaction in middle school where he was in 6th grade, and an 8th grader pretty much on a daily basis would call him the N-word. And I realized that something was wrong because he started having a stomach ache every day and didn't want to go to school. And, what's going on? And he finally told me, but if you know Austin, he does not like confrontation. He just very Zen kid. And he finally told me what was happening. So I went into the school to talk to the liaison and the principal about it. It was very unfortunate that the principal's response was, it was the assistant principal's response was that it's the equivalent of him being called a nerd. And I completely disagreed, and I was a little devastated by that. And so I set up an appointment with the principal and the liaison, and he handled the situation very differently and very well. And that was kind of where I felt that I needed to start teaching Austin, because I was trying to take that role of, if we don't talk about it, it's not there, it's fine, it's Sauk Prairie, it's okay. But that opened my eyes to the fact that, no, we really need to discuss this, which is a really, really tough position to be in, to know that you have to have these conversations with your child and explain to them there's nothing wrong with you, but, and how do you do that? And so we had many conversations beyond that, and teaching him that there will be times that you will have to work harder. You will have to prove yourself. You'll see your friends doing things that you won't be able to do. And fortunately for us, Austin had an amazing group of friends that he surrounded himself with, and I love those kids. And so I think that made a big difference for him too, is that he had such a great and powerful group of friends that it really boosted his self-esteem and his own self-image as he came through school. There was another incident in middle school again where a girl, the way that I remember the conversation was that she was talking to her friends and turned to Austin and said, "I would never kiss those giant lips." Someone also made fun of like his body, and so he never would, and things like that were just very painful as a mom. So I feel like there's a lot of room for improvement yet in our schools. I'm very proud of the young man that he has turned out to be. I think that growing up in Sauk Prairie has allowed him to do that. And so I wouldn't change anything as far as you know, where he grew up and where he went to school, because I think that um, they have been very, very good to him.
Yeah.
I think that we have a ways to go in our education system, but I think that we can. I think that, you know, our educators are making strides in learning, which is where it starts. I think that it's a very long road, but you have to start somewhere. And acknowledging that there is a problem is where you start. And I've heard the phrase, you don't know what you don't know. And I think that that is very, very true. Because you don't, you have to learn it. I think the challenge is, in order to learn something, you have to understand that you don't know it, that there's an opportunity, there's always an opportunity for growth. There's always an opportunity to learn something. And first, everyone needs to realize that, yes, I can learn more about this. I can be educated in this. And I think that that's a hurdle that some people just aren't ready to jump over, understanding that you can learn more. And it would benefit every individual to learn more about everyone else that you don't know about.
Right.
So,
And you're not saying you're a bad person, or
exactly.
we all have prejudices. Every race, every person has prejudices that they like, depending where they grew up or how they grew up, or in biases.
Yeah.
And so recognizing what those are is important,
Yes.
so that we can continue to grow and learn from them and say, oh, this is not an accurate thought that I have. This is
Exactly.
what I grew up with, or yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Yes.
What do you wish, I guess we've kind of talked about this a little bit already, but what do you wish more people understood?
Yeah.
Anything? Just keep learning and
Yes.
keep trying.
Yes.
I
Keep
mean,
trying.
struggle with what should I be doing? How can I be an ally and an advocate? Is having conversations like this something
Yes.
people should be doing? Okay.
Yes. I think having conversations, I think being open to learning, I think is so, so very important. I love to educate. It's part of what I do. And so I would feel very comfortable talking to anyone about anything they feel uncomfortable with. Just start that dialogue. And I think that we can make it very far on just that. And then talk about other bigger things.
Basically, we should all just stop in to Retwist Tea, to stop in the shop and hang out with you.
Yes, precisely. Yes. Our slogan is pull up a chair. So
Oh,
come on in, have a seat. We'll chit chat.
I like that.
Yes.
Right. My last kind of question, comment, I guess, is how in Sauk Prairie can we support businesses that are owned by people of color? And
Yes.
sadly, what we're talking about today is that there's not a lot of diversity in Sauk Prairie.
Right.
So there are not a ton of businesses. I kind of jotted down the ones that I knew of, which is obviously your shop, Retwist Tea, La Mexicana, La Bombita, which is also in Sauk City.
Yes.
Y&E Cleaning and Evelyn's Cleaning. Are there other businesses that you are aware of?
No, not in Sauk. Not that I'm aware of. No.
If you're watching this and you know of another business, please comment, because this is part of the education process. So I want to know and I want to support those businesses. And I highly recommend that you support the businesses too, whether it's just a donation, buy something. There's a lot of cool, like I can see like 10 things behind you that I want to buy right now. I think that's important for us to do. We know with COVID going on, there's been a lot of stress on supporting small businesses,
Yes.
but which we should do too. But to take it a step further, and let's like really, rally together and support these businesses, because we want more of them.
Yes, we need more. We need so much more. I with COVID, I've learned so much with COVID. I think that one very outstanding component that has really kind of had to settle within me with COVID is that we need grants, we need loans to stay open. A lot of the minority owned businesses have had to start out with just money from our pockets. You know, we don't have access to grants and loans for getting off the ground. And so it makes us ineligible to apply. So the financing isn't there for us. And I feel like that's something that could be improved upon. And so I think that just that conversation, and again, it's, you don't know what you don't know. And the businesses, banking and the loan, you know, the lending offices, they don't necessarily understand that that is a concern, it's an issue. And so having conversations, you know, if you know of someone, if you are employed in a business that does grant loans or, you know, writes grants for small businesses, to maybe start that conversation, have a dialogue with the powers that be, and helping them understand that these little brick and mortars need assistance. I think that would be very beneficial.
I know that the chamber was helpful.
Yeah.
Do you have any other help with anyone helping to guide you as you opened your business? Like any advice?
The chamber. And then again, I jump and then I learn to fly. So kind of as we've been going, I've definitely reached out to other businesses. I've tried to really communicate with businesses that are like ours, because we are so different. We're kind of in a category that doesn't really exist. We're in that like other category. So I definitely have been able to communicate with a lot of people who are similar to what we do. We have been able to be a part of, we're not members yet, but we've been able to be a part of the Black Chamber of Commerce through Milwaukee, which has been very helpful in dealing with all of this. So I have very much enjoyed and appreciated those conversations and that help as we've moved forward, and we've grown so fast that it's every day there's something new that I am just like constantly learning how to do this in the most efficient way for ourselves and for our clients. And I've been so appreciative of everyone being so patient with us as we've learned with them what we're doing.
Does Madison have any groups that are helpful? Like so there's not a Black Chamber of Commerce in Madison, just Milwaukee?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If anybody's watching this and does know of other resources, again, please comment.
Yes.
This is important for us to share.
Yes.
I don't know of any like resources that are specific to minorities, but we have had help with SCORE Madison. SCORE is an SCORE. They're a free service. They do business consulting for whatever.
Oh, nice.
Business. So I would recommend look that up on the World Wide Web.
Yes.
Do you have any final thoughts? Anything we didn't touch upon? Anything else you'd like to say? Oh. I mean, there's so that we could talk forever. Like we already we started our official chat. We were chatting forever. I really do recommend, since you brought it up, that people just come into your store and sit and chat with you, because it's wonderful. I feel like I've learned a lot, so thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
To share your stories.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me. This is just a wonderful honor. I honestly feel very honored, that you've invited me to do this with you.
And I'm gonna a little like insider scoop here. I'm going to be talking with your son Austin.
Yeah.
Too. So I'm catch up with him a little bit, and he's in Milwaukee. So
he is.
doing there. So next chat will be with Teresa's son, Austin.
Yes. Yay. Everybody watch. He's pretty special.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. This has been very fun.
Good. I love it. All right. Thanks for watching.
See you later. Thank you.